Hey guys, Kyle at the MJC here, and today we are going to go through the final sections on the proposed marital settlement agreement with minor children. But before we get into these final sections, just a reminder that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It's a video, so I'm not able to analyze your specific situation and determine whether this is the right form for you, whether what you're asking for is something a court is likely to approve, or whether what you're asking for is the right thing for you in your situation. So if you have questions about those sorts of things, you can get some brief legal advice for free through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics here in Milwaukee County. If you're not located in Milwaukee, you can get in touch with your clerk of court to find out what resources are available in your area. All right, so heading into the home stretch here, the first section we're going to look at is the deductions for children. So you're going to go ahead and list the names of your children again. So if you remember, John Smith and Jane Doe have Sally and Susie. And for each child, you're going to go through and you're going to determine who is going to claim them as dependents on taxes every year. So you can either say joint petitioner A or the original petitioner is going to claim them on taxes in all years. You can say the respondent or joint petitioner B will claim them on taxes in all years. You can say that we're going to split it and we're going to have the petitioner or joint petitioner A claim in even tax years. So 2020, 2022, 2024. And the respondent, joint petitioner B, will claim in odd tax years, so 2021, 2023, 2025, so on and so forth. Or you can reverse that and say the respondent / joint petitioner B is going to claim in even tax years, again, 2020, 22, 24, 26. And the petitioner or joint petitioner A is going to claim in those odd tax years, 21, 23, 25, so on and so forth. And you can, if you want, you can have them be the same. So we could say Jane is going to claim both kids. But you could also have them deviate. We could say Jane is going to claim Sally, but John is going to claim Susie, or vice versa. It really doesn't matter there. So it could be either one of those. Or you can go into the splitting them. You can say Jane is going to claim one in even, John is going to claim the other in even years. However you guys want to make that work. So whatever you want to propose is fine. We'll go ahead and say in our situation they're going to switch off and they're going to have Jane claim in even years. Life insurance, you do have to check box N, which is annoying, but it includes the whole universe of possibilities down here. So you check N no matter what. If you and your spouse do not have any life insurance, so again, that's policies that you hold individually or together, you'll check 1. If there was any life insurance, you're going to check 2, and you're going to include the name of the company. So that's that underlying company. So we can remember from the financial disclosure video many years ago, Northwestern Mutual. They do have one there. You're going to put in the policy number. It's one of those things where if you can get the policy number, you should. You can contact the insurance agency or your HR to get that number. If you are not able to get it, we have found that often, not always, but often, the clerks will accept it with no policy number, but some of them may instruct you that you need to get the policy number before the hearing. And again, if you can get the policy number, we have occasionally heard about clerks saying, no, we can't accept the paperwork till you've got a policy number in there. And then you're going to put the name of the person who is insured. So here, again, if you've been following our video series, Jane was our insured there. All right, so that's that section. And then last but not least is other proposals. So basically, this giant marital settlement that you have been watching all my videos on is now your agreement for how you're going to divide your stuff, custody and placement of your kids, and all that sort of stuff. If you guys have any other agreements, written agreements or oral agreements that are not included in this, oral agreements would not be enforceable for the court, and written agreements may not be enforceable by the court if they are not referenced here and included. So if you guys don't have any other agreements like that, check number 1, move on. If you do have other written proposals, oral agreements, written agreements, anything like that, you're going to check number 2, and you're going to make sure that you attach a copy. So if it's an oral agreement, you will write down what that agreement is. If it is a proposal, you're going to write down what the proposal is. If it's an agreement, you'll attach that agreement, and then you guys can, you'll include sort of what that is and make sure it's attached. Then here you will find there are obviously a whole bunch of things here, but one thing that often gets skipped, so you should read this stuff. I'm not going to go through it with you, but you should review this because generally speaking, saying I didn't know what it said isn't necessarily going to stop this from being an order. And so you'll want to make sure you review it. If you have any questions about all of this sort of boilerplate language, make sure that you do get some legal advice before you turn it in or before you have a court date. All right, but that warning aside, there are 2 more blanks that need to be filled in here. The first is this one. So it says, basically, it presumes that you guys are going to exchange financial information every year. I don't know how many people actually exchange financial information, but we're going to go ahead and put in a date by which you're supposed to, because that's how you complete the form. So it can be any date you want. A lot of people will put in April 15th because they're going to have all their financials together for tax time, but it can be the first of the year, December 31st. It can be your birthday, holiday, any day in May, any day you want to put down. But we're going to put 0415. And then last but not least, here you're going to include, so basically it's making us recite the marital presumption down here. So the marital presumption is a law in Wisconsin that basically says if a child is born to a female party while the parties are married, the other party, the other spouse, is presumed to be the dad of that child. So if you're in a situation where one of the parties is female and one is male, you're going to check the male party here. In our situation, that would be John, who's been our respondent and joint petitioner B. If John's name had been listed first, if he were petitioner or joint petitioner A, we would check A. If you are in a situation, if you are a same-sex couple, then you will probably want to get legal advice if you think the marital presumption applies in your situation. That's an area of law that has been evolving and changing since some of the court cases that legalize same-sex marriage. So that's a good thing just to check in on and make sure that this form is doing everything that you need it to do. All right. So that is all for those sections. Again, a whole bunch of language here that you should read and make sure you understand. If you have questions about it, you can get legal advice on it. And then you're just going to come down to the signature block, and you're going to put in, again, the name here, and Jane as our petitioner, and what's her middle name? It's Susan. And we're just going to plug in all of the address information here. And again, you guys have probably heard me say it before, but if you are going to be e-filing this, then you can go ahead and do the electronic signature and the date. If you are just following along on paper and not typing it up, then obviously you can sign and date while you're doing it. Those of you who are typing it up, once you print it out, you will, using a pen, you'll sign and date. And just let me get this phone number in. All right, so we've got that. You obviously won't have a state bar number unless you are an attorney, and I assume, perhaps incorrectly, that there aren't any attorneys watching this. So that is all you'll need to do for this. You can put the other party's information here. As you can see over here, it just does note that if they do end up agreeing with this, they could sign and date this. Like if the hearing they end up agreeing with it, they can sign and date. Some folks will put in their information here. Some folks will just have their information here. And obviously, if you're the person filling this out, if you're the respondent, then you would just switch over and click that one. All right, well, that is all for this document. As always, thank you guys for viewing this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you do have questions about the forms, or if you need referral information to other legal resources in Milwaukee. You can come into the Milwaukee Justice Center, at least during non-pandemic times. We are located in G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. But otherwise, until then, thank you all for watching, and I hope that you all go out and represent yourselves well.